Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Wil Wilfred Duosi. This is Cool TV, and this morning we have come to have a conversation with the president of the Presidency of Liberia. Of recent, they launched the policy concerning accreditation and registration for Liberian journalists. Mr. Julius Kanubah, welcome to this platform.
It's a pleasure being a part of this important conversation with we tell you thank you for coming to our offices and yeah, greetings to you, greetings to members of your audience.
Yesterday there was this press conference concerning the launch of the registration and accreditation for professional media practitioners. What's the benefit? What exactly the President of Liberia wants to achieve from this policy?
Well, the policy regulation for the registration, professional accreditation, and accountability of journalists, media and communication professionals, and media institutions, the intent is to support the professionalism of the media within our country, is to ensure that we have a credible, proper, systematic framework for the registration of journalists in the country and to hold journalists accountable. And by accountable, we mean we can reward you for your practices of journalism, practices within the media, but we can also sanction you so that if you ethically transgress as a journalist, you can be held to account. So this policy document or regulation is intended to enhance professionalism within our media sector, and it's also intended to reduce or eradicate this issue of conflict in the PUL, that's the Press Union of Liberia, because without a credible, transparent, and accountable system of membership registration, we've observed in the past that the system was abused or misused by people. Giving, for example, Press Union accreditation card to people who are not journalists, giving full membership to journalists who have not met the full membership requirements. So yes, this policy regulation is an important step to reducing conflicts in the PUL. It's also an important step to ensuring that we enforce the constitution of the PUL.
Okay.
Because there are benchmarks, there are requirements as to who can hold the Press Union membership, as to who can practice journalism and be considered a professional journalist. So the Press Union is the only institution in Liberia that governs the media sector from a civil society perspective outside of the government. No one else. So nobody can now call you a professional journalist if there is not a professional body to call you a professional journalist.
Okay.
So this policy framework it has specified the rights that we have as members of the PUL, and it has specified the rights that we have as Liberians, expressing our freedom of speech, freedom to information, but also freedom of the media. So it's a critical document because this will set the benchmark to making the press very stronger. And then the policy document also talks about the issue of due process, right? If, for example, Wilfred Duosi comes to register, he applies for the full membership. The full membership is a very critical membership of the union. It is the membership that gives you the right to vote and be voted for. So if you are denied by the committee, there is a mechanism that you can use to challenge the decision of the committee. The committee itself will have to review its work along with the leadership, the Grievance and Ethics Committee, formerly that we call the National Media Council now. They will sit and they'll look into your case. But crucially, no one in the leadership, no one outside of the membership committee can determine the final decision except the membership committee. So the leadership will not interfere with the work of the membership committee.
I listen to you. You talk
this
about
policy
sanctioning journalists who are going to be unethical. Is it their media institution or they as individual journalists from being part of an entity?
No, journalists, to be considered a journalist, you must mostly work within a media institution, right? It's possible you can be one individual, you create your own platform, or you have your own media, it's possible. But journalism is shared work. So if an employee of a specific entity and ethically transgresses, right, we can shut down the entity. What we do, we institute an investigation of that particular member of the PUL or of that particular journalist, and then in relationship with his place of employment. So if you are employed with a specific entity, we'll complain you because it is the entity that is giving you the space to practice your journalism. That entity will come for investigation along with you. And if we found out that you ethically transgress, we can be able to institute different sanctioning mechanisms. That sanction, you could be publicly named and shamed.
Okay.
That ethically you transgress. And Wilfred, don't overlook it. And I know you are a very young professional. But if you ethically transgress, for example, when the president names you, that journalist Wilfred Duosi, for example, has ethically transgressed, you know what happens? It goes global. Your picture, your name, your family name will be all over the world. That you are not a professional journalist, that you've ethically transgressed, right? Which, of course, reduces your professionalism because the president has got a core ethics and we want to enforce the core ethics. You can only enforce the core ethics when you have a policy regulation in place that defines the rights of and benefits of being a member of the PUL. So, like we stated, there is one crucial thing that should bring us together as members of the PUL, because some people have been asking, is it important to get a membership with the PUL? Our argument is yes. It is important because being a registered member of the PUL comes with several benefits, right? The first thing is professionally, you'll be accredited. Wilfred, guess what? The lawyers that we call the Liberia National Bar Association, they can license journalists, right? License is a form of accreditation, it's a form of certification. That's the same thing the president does. But for us, we can license. What we do, we accreditate you. So professionally, you'll be accredited because you can't carry all kind of article around here and say you are a journalist. No, you must have a professional accreditation by the PUL. Secondly, if you have the president membership and you are a full member, you can vote and be voted for. You can also attend Congress, the policy decision making of the PUL. You will also benefit from what we call professional journalistic solidarity, protection, professional development, like capacity building programs, right? Trainings, the issue of welfare. Welfare, you are aware, some journalists get sick. And when they get sick, sometimes they don't have the resources to go to hospital. They depend on what we call SOS call. If you check in the chat room, people say, oh, journalists, blank is sick. People raise money, but sometimes the membership does not have the money, right? So we need now this registration to be done in a more transparent manner. And any resource we raise as a result of the registration, some of those resources can be used for the welfare of journalists. So when you are a registered member, instead of you paying your own money to go to the hospital, 100%, the president will intervene. Maybe we will take a responsibility of 25%, depending on the cost, 30%, 40%, or 50%, right? So we want to ensure that we take care of the welfare of the membership because it has been one of the fourth lines of the PUL in terms of the weaknesses of the president of Liberia, right? I mean, we don't take care of the welfare. Right now, if something happens to you or me or any member that does, guess what? We pay tribute. Sometimes we don't even have a cent to give it to the bereaved or grieving family, which is not good because Wilfred, you will spend much of your life in journalism, right? And sometimes our parents, our families, our friends, they don't even know the places that we work, but they see us coming to town every day. They see us on air, live screaming. They see us broadcasting, right? So all of these things we will now have to have for documentation. And one of the crucial things is we are launching a website very soon. We'll launch a website very soon. Your information will be online. People internationally can contact you, right? They can see that you're a member of the PUL. And one thing the president membership does, which sometimes we can overlook, is that when you're traveling in Liberia, as long as you show your president ID, the police, the security forces, or even private citizens, right? Public officials, they respect the press, right? Then internationally, or regionally, or continentally in Africa, if you travel, you show your press ID, especially the president ID card, wow, people will professionally respect you. We've had instances of journalists traveling to Sierra Leone, to Guinea, to Ivory Coast, some to the United States. Once they call themselves, journalists, they show their president ID cards. They have some leverage with the issue of visa application because journalists are respected and respectable people within society. So yes, once you have the membership of the Press Union Liberia, you will benefit from all of these rights. We call it the bundle of rights. Without the membership, if you are sick, if something happens to you, if you are assaulted or attacked, most likely the Press Union will not be involved 100%. We can condemn the flogging of Wilfred or Julius or this journalist, but to prosecute the case, if you are now a member, how can we defend you? So you will be losing all of these rights, right? So it is important that you come, you take the form, you fill the form in, you get the constitution of the union, the bylaws, the code of ethics and conduct for Liberian journalists, and the journalist creed will be admitting people into the union. We want a professional body so that if you go anywhere, you should be respected, and you should also respect people within society. Because if you have the Press Union ID card, you go anywhere and you misbehave, your ID number will be taken, there will be a complaint against you, and at times the Press Union will revoke its membership from you. And we can also suspend your membership and it will go public. Anywhere you go to say, oh, this person, and you were suspended by the Press Union, please don't come to our program because you are on suspension. I think you can see President Boka, for example, he suspended people who did not declare their assets, right? I think their salaries is in a range of $90,000 US, right? So imagine now, if you are suspended, you'll be all over the place. You'll be named and shamed publicly.
So here is it. The issue of this media regulation or restriction and accreditation. What's the connection, the communication sent to the various counties? Because the president is not just writing Moserado, but also the nationwide as a whole. So what coordinators are doing to ensure that this policy be fully implemented?
Well, the Press Union, like you said, is not only a centralized entity. Our constitution provides a county-based leadership, right? And our colleagues in the counties, they say we should never ever refer to them as rural journalists, right? I mean, there was a debate during the elections in the Press Union. Yes, this is the central policy that covers all journalists nationally. It is not for rural journalists or urban journalists or semi-urban journalists or semi-rural journalists. No, it covers everyone. The registration process, we've commenced the registration process as of today, right? Effectively. So journalists in the counties too, they have a leadership that will be in place, right? And that leadership will conduct the registration process. Also, we have established an online platform where you can do your application processes at a preliminary level online. We'll collect all your necessary information and then we can be able to process your information at the central level. Also, the county-based leadership that we call coordinators, right? Deputy coordinators and assistant coordinator, the issue of a secretary in the county, or financial secretary and assistant secretary, they too will help the Press Union to do the registration. Crucially, the Constitution allows the membership committee at the central level to conduct membership draft, create awareness. So the membership committee will also be going from county to county. This is how to bring the Press Union to our colleagues in the counties, but also our colleagues in the county must be able to work with the committee. And don't forget, the membership committee, it does not only comprise of journalists in Montserrat County. No, it has journalists from some of the counties because it's a non-membership committee, right? So some journalists from Bong, I think from Grand Gden, the Southeastern Belt, and from Western Liberia, they are on the committee, right? So they will also help. And we have regional coordinators also. So yes, the process is inclusive, participatory, is open. And any information you file in, the membership committee will use the information to grant you one of the categories of membership. So if you apply for the full membership and you did not meet the requirements or those criteria, right, you'll be given an associate. If you apply for the associate and we know you are not a journalist, we'll send you to the affiliate category. If you apply and you are not a journalist, you're not associated with the media, for example, obviously you cannot get the membership card of the Press Union Liberia.
The issue of accrediting media institutions or individuals is very much important, and there have been this call for legislation. There's this bill at the House of Legislature. It has been there a couple of years, I'm talking about the independent human right,
Yeah,
media
the
commission.
Independent Media
How
Commission.
far
Yeah.
with
Well,
this
well,
to help back you on this accreditation and registration process?
first, we need a broad-based stakeholders engagement to see the significance of that particular bill in terms of the merits and demerits, right? There have been discourse over the years for an independent media regulatory commission, a commission that will regulate the media sector of our country. And when we say independent, to what extent do we want it to be something that is created by the government? To what extent do we want the appointments to be made by the government? And what role can the president play in such an independent body, right? So we are looking at the different documentations relating to that particular bill or those conversations that were held, because it being like almost 3 years, the president has been down, right? We're down for the 2 years in the elections. We took over in October 2024, and I mean we instituted different reforms. So internally we have to be stronger first, but we are in support of anything that will help to strengthen media professionalism, media or journalistic integrity in Liberia, to ensure that journalists, media and communication actors, as well as media institutions are respected. So yes, the Independent Media Regulatory Commission is something we've been looking at, but let's get everything right institutionally at the level of the internal dynamics of the press union first before we can go out there. Because without resolving some of the critical issues surrounding journalism in Liberia internally at the level of the PUL, it will go out. People will say, "Well, you have to resolve some of the weaknesses of the press union internally." And one of the weaknesses has been the issue of professionally registering people, professionally accrediting journalists, right? I mean, so if you cannot conduct that, then how will you want to go out there? And also, most of us will believe in self-regulation, right? The idea of an independent media regulatory commission is a good idea. You must have some sort of a broader body to help the press union to govern the media sector of our country. But also there should be some broader consultations among the journalists, media and communication practitioners, and media institutions and other stakeholders.
Lastly, before we conclude this conversation, the last time we talked about auditing past administration, you care to update the Liberian media journalists who voted you? How far with this report and this information?
Well, the issue of an audit has been coming up, right? Like I mentioned before, we said we constituted a technical working group on the status of the PUL. That group presented its report to us, right? We released the report on the 31st of January, right? And there were several recommendations by that particular group. And as part of it, we are working to ensure that we enforce those recommendations. We met a debt of $28,722, right? So we are doing all we can to mobilize resources to first clear the debt. The building that we are in is not owned by the press union Liberia. It's owned by a private citizen, and that private citizen is renting the facility. We owe a debt of over $8,000 to that particular landowner. So we have to settle some of these things, right? Audit will come, obviously. Audit in the press union is something that is on the mind of every one of us. And audit is not necessarily to target people, no. It's to see the systems that are in place. For example, you could do a system audit or financial audit or human resource audit to know how many persons working at the PUL, right?
Okay.
So now that we conducted the assessment, we are aware that the union has 6 different bank accounts. Some are project related, some are for the very membership registration, some are for welfare, where some are towards the construction of the press union headquarters.
Why will all these accounts be established instead of one account?
Yes, if you are implementing, for example, for the EU, right? The EU has got some requirements of implementing their project. So they will tell you, say, you need this account, right? You need to establish a specific account. They want to trace how their resources are, transferred to you and expended, right? So you have that account. If you are implementing for the American government through the USARD that President Trump has been doing auto shutdown, right? They too will require you to open one account. If you're implementing for some other partners, you have to. And then the membership dues, there is an account. The membership registration, there's an account, right? So you got an account. But yes, I agree with you. You can have one single account. And once you are depositing a resource into the account, it tells you this for membership due.
Okay.
You just put it on the bank slip and say this is for membership, right?
Yes,
it's critical.
Do we have international partners and donors coming to the press union now to ensure that?
Yes. The press union has got a reputation. Anyone sitting at the press union, even you, international partners will work with you, which is very, very essential, right? So we've had different international partners. We submitted some documentations. Some of these international partners in terms of our own ideas as to how to govern the PUL and what level of support. The only unfortunate thing which all of us know is that the USARD, the funding that the USARD, that's the US government autonomous agency, was given to the media sector in Liberia, the entire media sector, whether the PUL, the CMS, that is the Center for Media Studies and Peace Building, the LMDR, Liberia Media for Democratic Initiative, the issue of TDS, Talking Drum Studio, the issue of FIJA, Female Journalists Association Liberia, the issue of Youth Media Action, YMA, and Local Voices, the fact-checking group, right? All of these fundings by the USARD were put on hold by the US government. The press union version is also on hold. But we have our international partners, they are coming in. We just have to give them our ideas and see where we can merge perspectives, and then support will keep coming for the press union. The press union is an important institution, and per this policy regulation, for example, if you don't register with the press union, you are not accredited by the union. Your ability to source funding, to solicit money internationally to come and train journalists will question you, and will tell our members, do not go on this particular media group for training because they are not registered with the press union Liberia. You must be able to be professionally governed, because some of the organizations, and this is a cut across, right, could be in Liberia, they are also making profit. They are making profit. They go and apply for funding, sometimes 1 million, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 50,000, 10,000. They come and conduct trainings for journalists, yes, good intentions, but do they also profit from some of those fundings? Yes. Do you know some of us who work in the private media industry, media NGOs? Some were paid 2,000, some are paid 2,000, some 1,500. Guess what? What's the salary of a journalist in Liberia? The average. Well, the welfare committee will tell us, but some journalists in Liberia, they are making $20 Wilfred, $50, $75, $150. Even for that money to come, right, can be difficult. So imagine now, if you are soliciting money, sourcing money to train journalists, and you pay your staff 1,500, 2,000, it's good, right? You're paying them based on their skill sets, their qualifications, the credentials that they have, their experiences. But we also are seeking support to help the media sector of our country. And we need money to advocate for improved working conditions for journalists, right? So the international partners, we agree with most of their good intentions for Liberia, and we'll keep working with them to ensure that we develop our media sector.
Quad TV been in conversation with the president of Liberia, Mr. Julius Kanubah. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Many thanks, Wilfred. Thanks for taking up your time. I know you are very busy, but you are always interested in the press union matters. So we'll tell you thank you very much. We hope you come to renew your membership.
Sure.
Very soon.
Thank you.